If you're a GarageBand user who's been curious about Logic Pro for Mac, there is no better time than now to finally give it a try. And actually, if you're coming from GarageBand, Logic Pro is going to feel far more familiar than you might think. Under the hood, they share the same DNA, so a lot of what you already know in GarageBand carries straight over into Logic with more room to grow. In this video, I'll share 5 tips that will help GarageBand users get started in Logic Pro for Mac. When you load up Logic, you'll be greeted with this new project window, and yeah, it looks very familiar, doesn't it? Just like in GarageBand, you can select from different options in the sidebar. You have new project options. Empty project will take you to the normal Logic window, whereas Live Loops opens up in a non-linear loop-based workspace. More on that in a sec. You have recent projects here, and can open live loop grids here. These open populated, almost demo-like live loop projects that are great fun to play around with. If you're coming from GarageBand for Mac, this will look completely new to you. But if you've used GarageBand for iPad or iPhone before, this might look quite familiar. We're not going to dive too much into live loops in this video though. Next, you have access to several demo projects that are really useful if you want to have a peek at what a really big Logic Pro project actually looks like. But can be a little bit overwhelming, so by all means, open them up, play them back, have a wee look around, but don't get hung up on the massive track counts, stacks, effects, etc. Again, just like in GarageBand, there are some project templates here that work in the same way. They load up a Logic project with some track types already populated, depending on what template you choose. And finally, here is where you will find any templates that you have created and saved yourself. If we head back up to the New Project tab, we'll open a new empty project, and yes, just like in GarageBand, you can expand this section below for more options, but as you can change all of this stuff from inside Logic, we'll just leave it as is for now. Now this will definitely look familiar. You'll be prompted to choose a track type to open when you open a new project in Logic. The MIDI software instrument option is the same as it is in GarageBand. The other external MIDI section is for those looking to attach something like a hardware synth to use its sounds in Logic. In the session player section, you'll already be familiar with the drummer, and in Logic there are also bass and keyboard session players. These work in a similar way to the drummer in that you can select a style and then tweak its performance using a selection of controls. In the audio track, you can create a straight-up mic or line audio track, or, just like in GarageBand, a guitar-specific audio track that features amp models and effects. The pattern track will likely be unfamiliar to you. It enables rapid step-based sequencing for drums, bass, and melodies, providing an alternative to traditional MIDI regions via the step sequencer editor. I would recommend just shelving this track completely until you find your feet with stuff you're more familiar with. Speaking of things you'll be more familiar with, Logic's transport controls, the buttons and toggles along its top edge, are very similar to GarageBand's. The play, record, cycle, metronome, tuner and counting buttons are all right where you left them in GarageBand. On the right, the loop browser and notepad buttons are in the same place. You can edit the LCD settings the same way here. And on the left, the library button, smart controls and editor buttons all do the same things here that they do in GarageBand. And the super helpful quick help button is, as you can imagine, invaluable for beginners too. Most of these extra transport controls, like flashback capture, the replace tool, and the toolbar itself even, can again be set aside for now until you get to grips with the basics of Logic, with one exception. The inspector window allows you to adjust settings like quantization, flex and follow, and gain settings for a selected region, or you can adjust settings for the currently selected track. More importantly, down here are two channel strips. Think of Logic's channel strips like GarageBand's track headers, and the plugin section of GarageBand's smart controls rolled into one. The fader adjusts volume, you have mute and solo buttons, and there's a panning wheel here. Above that, there is a dedicated visual EQ, just like in GarageBand's smart controls. And in this MIDI track, slots for effect plugins and instrument plugins. The channel strip will vary a wee bit depending on what track type you have selected. This audio track has record enable and input monitoring buttons here, and input settings here. The channel strip on the right, marked stereo out, acts like the master track does in GarageBand. It's the same on every track in your project, and it's where you add, for example, Logic Pro's mastering assistant to finish off your song. Now that you have a better understanding of how channel strips work, let's jump over to one of the features that really sets Logic apart from GarageBand. Logic Pro's mixer can seem quite intimidating at first, especially in larger projects, until you realise that it's essentially just showing you the channel strips that we just covered, but for all the tracks present in a project at the same time. Having a real-time overview of your project makes mixing a whole lot easier. You have more control, clearer feedback, and tools that grow with you as your projects get more complex. The tabs up here allow you to see faders for your currently selected track, just like the inspector window, all tracks you've created in the track area, and the All tab shows all tracks you've created, plus the ones Logic creates automatically, like this one, which outputs the click track. And the preview track, which outputs auditioned audio, like loop or patch previews. If you're wondering why there is a stereo out, the equivalent of GarageBand's master track, and a master fader too, the master fader is the equivalent of this output slider in GarageBand. Logic doesn't have a slider up here, this is just a meter. You control the overall output volume here instead. Using these buttons, you can show or hide certain channel strips or channel strip features based on your own personal preference, including another feature that really sets Logic apart from GarageBand. You've already used buses in GarageBand. In the plugin section of GarageBand's smart controls are these master echo and master reverb sliders. You can turn them on or off on a track and adjust them with the adjacent sliders. You can adjust the settings of these effects, but they are global effects, meaning they are applied to all tracks in a project, and you're just deciding whether or not to turn them on or off, and by how much. That is essentially a bus, and it works the same way in Logic, except you have far more control. To set up the same global reverb in Logic, in the mixer window with the All tab selected, I can click on Sends in a track I want to apply my reverb on, and select Bus from the menu. I'll then select Bus 1, and it will appear in the mixer as its own channel strip. I'll click here to add an effect plugin to this bus, go to Reverb, and select Space Designer, then select a preset to load. I can then use the dial on my original track's Send section to increase the level of the Space Designer plugin on this track. To add this same reverb to another track, I just need to click on the Sends section in its channel strip, select that same bus, and then adjust the dial accordingly. That's all there is to it. Now, you can get really creative with buses and do things like adding a third-party compressor to multiple vocal tracks, for example, which is so much easier this way than doing it track by track like you'd have to in GarageBand. Logic just received an overhaul to its sound library in the most recent update to version 12, and while it might not seem like much, it's a great quality of life improvement. Instead of sorting instruments, patterns, kits and loops from a fairly drab menu that tells users nothing about what they're loading up, Logic for Mac users can now access the same sound library that Logic Pro for iPad users have had access to since that app launched. Again, if you've ever used GarageBand for iOS on an iPad or an iPhone, this will look very familiar to you too. To get to Logic's sound library, open the library and at the bottom click on Get More Sounds. The layout and art here is great, and being able to see and hear what's included in each pack before you download it is useful too. You can get a taste of the sounds included in any pack by selecting it and hitting Preview. If you want to go a bit deeper and, say, find out a bit more about the count, for example, some of these packs have behind-the-scenes videos built in that you can watch from inside the library browser itself.
I'm always searching for some kind of new sound.
This new sound library also makes it easier to manage what packs you have installed. Using the Manage menu, you can pick and choose what you want to install and or delete, all from one menu, which is a whole lot easier than diving into Finder menus and deleting sounds manually. If you're not sure what to install first or what you need to install at all, I'd recommend grabbing the Essential and Compatibility packs and the Session Player packs at the very least. Right, that should be enough to get you going with Logic Pro for Mac. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more Logic Pro for Mac videos on this channel. Give that like button a wee tickle if you found this video helpful, and get the full lowdown on Apple Creator Studio right here.